cool, you know what I mean? I love putting this stuff on. No, actually, everything I have on really does have a purpose out on a working cattle ranch. Everything from the bottom to the top, and I'll explain it all to you, right down to the boots. We gotta have boots because boots are important. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's bushes, there's snakes, there's bugs, there's all kinds of things we don't need down inside our shoes, right? So the boots are very good for us. Boots have heels on them. Those heels help your boot from not slipping through the stirrups here on the saddle. So everything has its purpose. And you go right to the back here. I was asked earlier about my spurs. Spurs are there because, well, they look cool too, right? No, they have a purpose. If we need a horse to react really quick for us, like when we're working cattle, and say a cow runs off to the side, we got to go get it. That horse has got to be fast. Now, I'm not going to take these spurs and just jam them right into that horse and hurt him like that, and that's what no, that is so far from the truth. What I'm going to do is just take my spur, I'm going to lean it up against his backside, right in front of his, kind of his rear leg and his belly part. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll it up his side. And when I roll it up his side, see how that spins? And they're very dull. It's not going to hurt that horse. What it's doing actually is tickling that horse. So when it tickles him, he goes, whoa, just like you would, right? And when he jumps like that, well, then you give him another little push. He knows what you want. He'll take off. He'll take off fast. So we're not hurting that horse at all, okay? We're just tickling him. All right, part of that education process that Mr. Dean, I'm sure, told you about. So there's that. Now we got these chaps I'm wearing. Now these have a particular name. They called either batwing chaps or concho chaps, okay, because of the concho setup on them, and that's what holds your buckles in. They're called batwings, of course, because they're huge. They look like batwings, all right? They got their purpose. Brush cattle. When you're working cattle, say if you're doing the old way, you want to brand them or whatever, you got to throw them down, you got to hold them. You need a lot of protection so you don't wear out your clothes, all right? Also, if we had an emergency out there, and say I broke a rein on my horse, or I broke something that needed to be secured or tied, I could always just take my old knife, cut a piece of leather right off the bottom of this batwing, and I got me a great piece of leather right there to tie anything I need to tie with, okay? So it works, all right? We move on up. I have a sidearm on. Y'all wondering about my sidearm? This is what's known as a Colt 45 Long Colt. It was known as the Peacemaker back in the old days. And this was the most popular gun of the Western genre era, whatever you'd like to call it, okay? Because of its value, it was inexpensive to buy it back then. Today, the cheapest one you'll find anywhere is probably about $2,000. But it was dependable, it always worked, and it had a lot of power, so it was a tool for that cowboy, all right? Now we go on up, of course, long sleeve shirts. Now this is a whole story to long sleeve shirts. Cowboys and the hats and the shirts and everything. Now back in the old days, it was known to be status to have light skin, okay? It means that you didn't have to go out and you didn't have to ride horses and work a ranch. You didn't have to go out, you didn't have to work the fields, you didn't have to grow things and be a farmer, okay? You were rich because you got to stay in all the time. You had that light skin. And that was a part of status in the old days, believe it or not. Today, of course, it's to protect us from the rays, but they weren't thinking about that in the old days. It was a status symbol, all right? And then some people around maybe the 1920s decided they wanted to go to Europe and hang out on the beaches, and they got tan. And all of a sudden, it was really neat to be dark and to have a tan. Now, the rich people who could afford to go and hang out on the beaches, and now they were the status. Imagine that, how things change. Of today, of course, we wear it to keep us cooler, believe it or not, in the hot sun, and to keep those rays off us. This here is, of course, if I want to rob somebody, put it up, and I just say, give me all your money, right? You don't know who I am. Of course, that's not true. This is there, yes?
Isn't it for, like, when you're going really fast for the dirt to block?
It is for the dirt, yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be going really fast, but you get out here on these trails behind a bunch of horses, you'll be taking a lot of dirt in. So to have one of these is very handy. You throw it up nice and loose, and it keeps that dirt, there you go, right out of your face. And of course the hats are really important because, well, you got to keep the sun out of your eyes. They channel. Everybody wears a different kind of hat. They wear it their own way. Me, I prefer to go out and buy a brand new hat, throw it in a bucket of water, pull it out, and just roll up the sides. Whatever it ends up, that's how it is, and that's the way I wear it. But it channels all that water off, and it works for you, and everything happens. All right, saddles. Real quick on the saddle, this is called an old timer. It's made out of leather, weighs about 50 pounds. We have saddles out here made out of what's called light Cordura, man-made materials that weigh about 18 pounds that we put on our horses out here. So there's a difference. This is a working saddle, that's a trail ride saddle.